Right now, about 30 million solopreneurs are shaping the US economy, driving 1.7 trillion in growth powered by AI tools, skills, and speed, and outpacing GDP growth at 5% peaks. Technology and AI are no longer an advantage, they're the baseline, and they are giving you an opportunity to start a solo business. One focused person can now do the work of an entire startup team if they know which skill to master next. I want one of you who is watching this video to have a similar story. I run a podcast called Silicon Valley Girl, where I asked five-figure founders, if you lost everything tomorrow, your money, your network, your reputation, and had to rebuild from zero in 2026, what would you actually do? I structured their answers into 5 clear strategies. If you watch this video till the very end, you'll know how to grow as a solopreneur in 2026. You'll learn which skills matter the most and how the smartest founders are using AI to win while everyone else is still playing catch up. What's fascinating is how different these approaches are, yet how practical each one is for someone starting today. And at the end of this video, I'll share my own plan, how I'd build everything from scratch right now, what I'd focus on first, and why. So make sure you watch until the end. Find the one thing you're best at in the world, then ignore everything else. But here's the problem. Most people don't actually know what their superpower is. Samir Vasavada, co-founder and CEO of Vise, gave me a simple framework for discovering it.
What your superpower is, what's your area of competency, where do you spike, what's the thing that you are best in the world at? Ask your friends. Ask the people closest to you, why are you friends with me? Why do you like to work with me? What makes me great? And those people are all going to coalesce on one thing. You're a great communicator, you're a great salesperson, you're great at thinking about complex product problems, and you'll find the one thing that makes you great and become the best in the world at that thing. Forget about your weaknesses. It's really hard to compensate for your weaknesses. If you're really lucky, you can get a little better on your weaknesses, but on your strength, you can get significantly better. Because I think that too many people jump from thing to thing to thing. And the reality is, like, all of the alpha comes on sticking at one thing for a long period of time and reaping all of the compounded rewards, because careers compound no different than capital does.
Now, once you've identified your superpower, the next question becomes, how do you test it in the market? I asked Zhao, CEO and founder of Opus.
If I have to start a company again, the first thing is always to figure out what is a real painful job to be done. I'm the prototype of founder who don't start everything from technology, but from users, from the market. I have to segment my market to a very clear, very vertical niche that I can clearly understand their existing workflow, their existing pain point, their existing alternative solutions. And then, so I think probably I would have to spend the first couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, understanding the real use case, the very specific ICP. And the second thing is to just engineer a prototype or proof of concept. I can do that very easily with all the vibe coding tools right now. Right?
What's your favorite?
Well, I'm a heavy Cursor user, but I tried many other different tools, but Cursor is my go-to
Nice.
tool. Yeah, because I came from engineering background, so it's more familiar with the IDE. The step 2 is actually just a couple of days should be good enough to have a proof of concept, and then I go back to share that with the early users, the ICPs, to get their feedback. The feedback should not only about do you like the product, but also like what kind of problems am I solving for you, and what is the value you perceive, which means how much money you are willing to pay for it. Right. So that process probably is the majority of the early 30 days. But I think on the other side, I also need to think it through about what kind of proprietary data can I possess along the way, and will that data set grow as the product grow, as the user grow, right? We don't have to build toward a moat or a very clear plan of defensibility, but I think we need to have that idea at least well thought in the first early days. Because you can't avoid it, right?
Yeah.
When you really launch the product. So it's better to have something in mind, have some idea in mind.
Billion-dollar founder of Perplexity Aravind Srinivas told me, the only bet you can make is on your own obsession, not on market timing, not on competitors. In the AI era, where everyone can be fast and big players can copy what works in days.
So I would just say the bet you can make is do what you truly are obsessed about. Because fundamentally, it's a bet on yourself. It's not a bet on the market. It's not a bet on ecosystem, like what competitors will do, will not do. Like, don't try to be this whiteboard strategy master. Like, it's completely pointless. Like, when your idea works and gets like 100 million or like billion in revenue, always expect the existing people to go after it, because everyone's looking for that incremental revenue in AI because the capex is so high. So the only way to justify all this is to actually turn that into like business profits. And so they'll go after you. So the only thing you can bet on is whether you're so obsessed about a topic that you will do it anyway, regardless of all the odds stacked against you. And then you'll prove the world wrong because you go so far deep into that, and no one cared about the problem more than you did. Like, commit yourself to one thing and do it for a sustained period of time, because it's very hard to be good at something if you just do it for like a couple of months. You need a year or two to actually get really good, like top notch at something. It could be programming, it could be math, it could be AI, it could be like writing apps, doesn't matter. It takes time to actually be really, really good. So I would suggest them to like go deep into something. It could be undergraduate education, it could be like finding a software job at one of the existing companies. You could start off as an intern if they don't hire you full time, and then convert and like pour in the hours.
Before we continue, let's talk about something critical for any business. Your domain name, which is basically your branding. When you're starting a business, it all comes down to two things: customers and sales. To land both, your website has to look credible at first sight. Because when customers see this with random numbers and hyphens, they think, ooh, spam. And I get it, most .com domains are already taken. That's the reality when you're starting out. That's why smart businesses are choosing .online domains. Clean, professional, and it actually tells people what you are. You are online. Right now, over 3.5 million .online domains have been registered worldwide by small businesses like yours and by notable brands like True Performance Gear for elite athletes and Minesweeper. The classic game millions still play online. But here's the real advantage. The word online is searched over 500 million times every month. That means .online domains can actually rank higher in search results, give you more visibility and more clicks. You can get your .online domain at any of the popular domain providers and website builders like GoDaddy, Namecheap, Wix, Lovable, and the likes. Right now, you can claim your .online domain for just 99 cents for the first year with my limited period offer. Head to www.get.online/marina6 or use the link to grab yours today. All right, domain sorted. Now let's continue building our business. Aravind's point is simple but ruthless. Depth beats everything. But getting there isn't easy. If you're worried about failing or still finding your footing, the next part is for you. Award-winning serial entrepreneur Daniel Priestley and I discussed how to reduce risk while still moving quickly. Let's wrap up with advice for an ambitious 20-year-old who's watching this, really wants to start a business, really wants to thrive in the new AI age, but just doesn't know where to start. Like, there are so many opportunities. I'm a generalist. What do they do?
I really, really want them to do 6 months working for an experienced entrepreneur. I really want them to join a team. Before you become an instructor, become a student. You know, before you're a number one, be someone's number two. When I did 2 years working for this mentor of mine, I just picked up so much. And then I left at 21. I started my first company when I was 21. We did 1.3 million in the first 12 months. We did 11 million in year 3. But there's no way I could have gotten off to a fast start if I hadn't have done 2 years under the wing of an experienced entrepreneur. So, like, whatever your passion is, let's say it's a passion for AI, if you're listening to something like this, then go bring that passion to an experienced entrepreneur. And the value exchange is that you're bringing a passion for AI. They're bringing 20, 30 years worth of experience running businesses. So see if you can be a direct report to an entrepreneur first for 1 to 2 years. The 3 things that you want out of that apprenticeship: self-awareness, where you start to discover your strengths and weaknesses, commercial awareness, where you understand how you actually take a business to market and make profit from it and sell it for a lot of money, and access to new resources that you don't currently have, access to funding, access to fame, access to talent, access to set up strategies. So you want access to resources, you want commercial awareness and self-awareness. And if you can get those three things out of an apprenticeship, you're going to be so much better off when you actually go start your own thing and be a number one. But before you're a number one, be a number two. So I recommend what I call a 776 apprenticeship. So a 776 apprenticeship is that you find a business that does 7 figures of revenue, but has 6 figures of profit, and you get to spend at least 6 months shoulder to shoulder with the founder of that business. So you're having direct report relationship with the founder. Now, the reason is that if you're really early stage, especially if you work in corporate, you work for a company that does 7 billion of revenue, right? Like forget about 7 figures of revenue. You have no idea.
Yeah, you can work with the founder.
And you can't work with the founder, and you're like in a completely like made up bubble. You've got a big brand and you've got a database and you've got like all these assets and all this stuff that you work with. Like you're in la la land as far as like you have no idea what startup is going to feel like. So if you can go and work with someone who's just that 1 or 2 steps ahead and they've already achieved 7 figures of revenue, 6 figures of profit, and you can do 6 months working direct report for the entrepreneur, if you can clock that up, you're going to then have an experience of what entrepreneurship feels like.
Before you lead, Daniel says, learn from those a few steps ahead. That apprenticeship gives you real-world experience. As Amjad Masad, founder of Replit, a vibe coding tool, reminds us, what separates future founders from everyone else isn't mentorship alone. It's grit, resourcefulness, and domain knowledge that only comes from doing. It is how you create products AI can't easily replicate.
And I think grit is very important. So resourcefulness, grit, like not quitting after 6 hours, like spending another day or 2 on it at least. I think domain knowledge is very important. So if you have excellent domain knowledge on YouTube, and so you need to give that domain knowledge into the agent. You need to prompt it in a certain way so that you're downloading your domain knowledge, and that is your competitive advantage.
But at the same time, OpenAI models are training on what I know, and then they're so much better at defining what a good YouTube video is.
I think you still have tacit knowledge that is not necessarily expressed in all your videos and all the content out there. That CFO at the VC firm has a lot of knowledge and skills he built up over the years that he can make into an app that you can't find on blogs and you can't find online. And so I think every one of us, as we go through life, we build up a lot of experiences that LLMs do not get to experience because they're not embodied.
And finally, here's my own plan for starting from scratch in 2026. First of all, pick a sharp, focused niche. It's very hard to compete with big companies. Don't waste time chasing some generic big idea, building the next social network if it's your first business. Instead, look for founder opportunity fit. Take inventory of your origin story. Maybe you're an immigrant. Maybe you had some wins in the past. Think about your mission, when you've created the most value, and your vision, what you want to make happen. Please do not forget to build a simple AI-powered content system. Content is everything. Yes, the market is getting flooded, but it is also growing like crazy. I just see it in my own business. We're launching several new social media platforms. We're still working on them. And we're just fascinated how fast they're growing in terms of subscribers and revenue. Then run a 30-day launch sprint. Treat it like real business, not a hobby. Get very clear on what your KPI is. In these 30 days, maybe you want a client, maybe you want some type of revenue. Create a KPI for yourself. Don't just move by intuition. Have some kind of metric that you're striving for. It's gonna really structure your decision-making and learn how to focus, how to say no. You only have a few hours a week that you can commit to building something, depending on your situation. So even 15 minutes really counts. Stop doom scrolling. Take control of your own time. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. And let's get this message to everyone who needs to hear it right now. Do not forget to subscribe to my email newsletter. The link will be down below. I share all the things that are working for me and my team. And thanks for watching, and don't be afraid to start in 2026, because this is definitely the best time to build.